All right, everybody. Here's this week's packet. We'll get down to business. Should be a quick one this week. Front cover's got a quote from Henry Ford. That's Henry Ford as in Ford cars and trucks and stuff. So the math part for this, it's going to look intimidating, but it's super duper easy. And it talks about adding fractional parts of 10 and 100. This is the first time we're really kind of going to be adding some fractions with different denominators at the bottom. But because they gave us tens and hundreds, it shouldn't be a problem at all. So this whole big example on this page is talking about they want us to add 35 hundredths and 4 tenths. And remember, we can't really add things together unless the bottom numbers are the same, right? We need common denominators. Here is where it gets super duper easy. To turn 10 into 100, I just times it by 10, right? If I do the same to the top, I end up getting 40 hundredths. So all of a sudden, 35 hundredths plus 4 tenths turns into 40 hundredths, and now it becomes super duper easy, right? Because now you just have 35 plus 40, and that gets you 75. And if we get all the way down through all this stuff, you'll find out, hey, yeah, it was 75 hundredths. So all we have to do is just add a 0 to the top and the bottom, and you've got your conversion, right? And so we can go through all this. And they use money as an example, which is great too, because this is 26 cents is 26 out of 100, right? So it's 2,600 100 pennies make a dollar, 59 out of 100. But again, don't be thrown off. This is some easy stuff. So here we are, 75 hundredths plus 2 tenths. Well, we need to get the bottom numbers to both be 100, so 0 there and a 0 there. Now I have 75 plus 20. Bottom number stays the same. I'll let you finish that off. Same thing over here, 73 cents plus 25 cents. Or 73 out of 100, 73 out of 100, 25 out of 100, 73 plus 25 over 100. I'll let you get these and these. So yeah, lots of examples for a couple of pretty easy problems. Next page. Find the sum, and so here we are. We'll put it into practice now. 2 tenths plus 43 hundredths. Well, it's not that tough. Put a 0 there, put a 0 there. 100 on the bottom, add 20 plus 43, and there's your 63. So continue on down the page doing that. Turn these into hundredths. 6 tenths is the same as 60 hundredths. And if we had more time and we were in the classroom, I'd have all sorts of models to show you how this all works beautifully. But for the sake of just getting this worksheet done, now you know how to do it, right? And then down here, this is just normal adding. And in my class, we haven't done a ton of decimal stuff, but we've done some all year, a little bit on those morning math packets. So yeah, I would just put the 30 cents over here. I would just add it on up. 8 plus 0 is 8. 4 plus 3 is 7. Decimal point comes down. 78 cents. There we go. And then down at the bottom, more of the same. Ned's frog jumped 38 hundredths of a meter. Then his frog jumped 4 tenths of a meter. How far did Ned's frog jump in all? Same thing. 40 hundredths is the same as 4 tenths. Okay, on to the next page. They're going to crank it up a little bit, but it is just about the same. Now it says relate tenths to decimals. So now I've got a number line here, and on top I've got 0 tenths, which is the same as 0 tenths. And then I've got 5 tenths, which is the same as the decimal. When we talk about this decimal is called 5 tenths. And so 5 tenths this way and 5 tenths this way means the same thing. So if I wanted 3 tenths, I would go 0, 1, 2, 3. This would be 3 tenths or 0.3, or in this case 0.3, 3 tenths. So it cruises down all the way through all of this, and then finally we get down to business. Write the fraction or mixed number, and I'll tell you why it's mixed number in a second, and the decimal shown by the model. All right, so in this case, here's our tenths again. We're at 0 tenths, and here's 5, so each one of these is going to be 1. So here's 1/10 and 2/10. So 2/10 like here is 2 over 10, and 2/10 down below is 0.2. So I'll go 2/10 and then 0.2. Both of those are called, you would say both of those as 2/10. And here it says mixed number because, check it out, we're not starting at 0. We're already starting at 2 and 0/10, and it wants to know what this is going to be. So we can count 1 by 1 by 1, or I can just start at the 2 and 5/10 and go 2 and 5/10 plus 1 more would be 2 and 6/10, or 2.6. 2 and 6/10, 2 and 6/10. So they're trying to get you to see that 0.6 is the same as 6 over 10. The next page. More models to reinforce this. So here's a model now. There are 10 of these big bars in here, right? So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 10, or 6/10. And then it says, what is this one going to be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a whole full one. So 1 and how many tenths? Looks like 1, 2. Or it also could be 1.2. 1 and 2/10. Remember, all year at the beginning of the year, we're talking about saving the word "and" instead of saying this number as 324, right? Remember, we got practice saying 324 because in math we actually have to use that and we use the and when there's a decimal and we talk about fractions. This is 1 and 2/10. This is also 1 and 2/10. Okay, so we've been saving and for just this moment. Okay, so find these ones on the number line. This is 2 and 0/10 and 2 and 5/10. Looks like 2 and 1, 2 and 3, or sorry, 2 and 1, 2 and 2, 2 and 3/10. It looks like two big ones, 3/10. And then also write the fraction version of that. This is starting at 4, and it wants to know what this one is. So 4 and 5/10, 4 and 6/10, and so on. And then straight up, write the fraction or mixed number as a decimal. All right, here's where it gets super easy. 4 over 10, 4/10 is the same as 0.4. Give yourself some practice by putting 0.4. Because then in this one, 3 and 1/10 is 3.1. Oh, too easy, right? 7/10, 6 and 5/10, 9/10. Okay, I'll let you take care of those ones. And then it wants the same thing we just did, but it wants to talk about hundredths. So now that same box doesn't just have 10 bars in it. Now it's got 100 squares. So I could count them still 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52, 53, right? So the number of shaded squares is 53 out of 100, which makes it 53 out of 100, which is 53 hundredths. Hundredths, right? And so just like before, when we had a tenth, when we had 6 over 10, and it just turned into 0.6. When we have 53 over 100, it turns into, you guessed it, 0.53. Now, there's a slight trick to this, and I'll check to see if there's any coming up here, but anytime there's 100 on the bottom, you need to make sure you've got two spots from the decimal. Okay, if there's just a 10 on the bottom, then you just have the decimal and whatever that number is. Because there is a difference between, I'll go over here where I've got a little more room. There's a difference between 6 over 10 and 6 over 100. So this is a popular way to trick you on some of this stuff. We know now that 6/10 is 0.6. But 6 out of 100 is not 0.6. Because that is way more than this, right? Picture this thing with only 6 squares filled in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just this amount colored in, right? That is way less than if I colored in all 6 rows. 6 out of 10 is not the same as 6 out of 100. So all you have to do is just make sure, there's 2 zeros down here. That must mean I need 2 places. So whatever this number is, this is going to be 0, 6. 6 tenths, 6 hundredths. This is how they're going to try to trick you. Okay. Down here, no such trickery. Write the fraction. Looks like there's going to be out of 100. Write the fraction or mixed number and the decimal. Right? So out of 100, so we know we're going to have a point and then it's going to be 2 spots, right? So looks like 10, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 24. So 24 on top, point 24 or 0.24. Same thing over here, out of 100. That's how many squares there are. And also it's going to be point and then 2 spots because it's 100, so there's 2 spots. 10, 20, 30, 40. I'll let you count those squares. Next page. More of the same, except for we're dealing with hundredths this time. So it wants to know what this dot might be. So this is 20. Let's see, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. I would call that one 29 over 100, right? Just like it has 77 over 100, or 0.29. More of the same down here, only they have a mixed number going on. So instead of a 0, you'll have, looks like a 4 point something. Oops, not 4.00, but 4 point something something. And it's going to be 4 and something over 100. And find out what it is. Here's the 60, here's the 70, so count those lines and find out. All right, write the fraction or the mixed number as a decimal. Too easy. 37 over 100, 0.37, or 0.37. 8 and 11 hundredths, 8.11. And let's see if they tricked you. Oh, they tricked you in the exact way that I tipped you off that they would. So don't be fooled by him. I just showed you. 6 over 100 is not 6 over 10. All right, on to this piece of writing. I read this piece of writing and I'm not going to say like I apologize for it, but it is kind of a it's kind of a strange piece of writing to just be stuck in the middle of a packet because there's no context for it, right? We haven't been studying anything about this, and so it's going to be hard to figure out what the heck they're talking about, and the language they're using is not very realistic. This is talking about they mention a couple of things, and this is mostly about some folks who are Mormon, of the Mormon religion, and they are heading to Salt Lake City for the first time. So this would be potentially what would be called historical fiction. So this is an event that happened. We don't know if this is actually people who were there and did this stuff, but they're talking about an actual event. And it's about a couple of these families who are settling. When the Mormons set up their church, they would set up in a town, and then after a while, since some of the rules in the Mormon religion are not the same as the laws of the country, they would get in trouble, and so they would be asked to leave and they'd move on. And so this is talking about how their latest settlement in Nauvoo, Illinois, is kind of getting shut down. So the Mormons are having to move further west. And then you'll see a name in here that might be familiar. It's a guy named Brigham Young. And Brigham Young, as you can read here, is one of the leaders of the Mormon Church back in the day. And there's a university named after him, BYU, Brigham Young University, and it is in Salt Lake City, Utah. So read this. It's about a daughter and a father talking about their historical fiction trip, and then questions based on that. Now we have some Latin root to deal with here. 2 of them. We have Jenner and port. So port is an easy one. Jenner, not so much. Port means to carry. To carry something. So you have reporter. You're carrying news, right? Portable, able to be moved, able to be carried. Import, you can carry it in from somewhere. Port just means carry, right? Export, carrying it out. But gener has a bunch of different sort of meanings. So gener has to do with like origin, creation. It has to do with like your descendants. Sometimes has to do with race or kind, right? And so you'll see. So here are the words for this page: general, reporter, portable, support, genius or genus, porter, genes, transported, genealogy, export, generalize, import, generates, port, and generous. All right. And just like before, find the ones up top. A place where ships unload goods is called a, and this would be a port. And on this case, we have two more Latin roots, dur and ject. And so ject is a cool one. Ject means to throw. Ject means to throw, and dur means hard. And so here are the words adjacent, dejected, procedure, trajectory, objection, endure, obdurate, injection, duration, duress, durable, reject, abject, eject, and project or project. That's it for this week's packet, my friends. There's only a couple more before we hit summer break. And so this first page actually tells you that June 1st, so next Monday, will be our last kind of regular packet. After that, a week later, we'll have some kind of, it says we'll have a year-end assessment so teachers can check in, right? So it's going to be kind of a review packet on June 8th. And then the June 15th packet, which will be the Monday of our last day, it says packets will feature fun activities such as field day PE game. So I'm just as curious as you are as to that last packet. My friends, it's been great, but we'll see you soon. Bye, too.